So let's do it again. I brought you a picture, and yeah, it's actually one of the most amazing opportunities I had in the last years, and it has something to do with circular economy. And I have one question for you all, guys, because where is it pointing at? There? Where is the... Oh, it's not working yet. Ah, here. Does this look like a minority to you? I guess not. And you're right, because in just 3 days, we brought more than 180,000 people to a festival that was almost fully circular. And I think this is a great start to the things I want to talk about today, because I want to talk about shifting majorities in politics, in society, in economy, but about the circles and the circular economy that still remain. And I already got introduced some seconds ago, but I will also do it in my way. I'm Daniel. I attend more than 100. At the moment, it's more like 120 events per year. And my whole life is dedicated to bringing people together, young talents, decision makers from sustainability, people that really want to create lasting impact. Therefore, I talk to a lot of people with very inspiring ideas. And today, I'm going to share some of them, because I think that this is the best way how we can support each other, but I will go deeper into this later on. But you can already see some of these events are known as the most relevant circular economy events in Germany, also in Europe. Therefore, I think there are a lot of insights that I can share that might bring some value to you today. And I also added a lot of QR codes. This one is to my business card. It will also come up later, but there are also a lot of sources for all the articles I mentioned, where you can directly get the link to the website. And as already mentioned, I'm here as a journalist for the magazine Forum Future Economy. It's the leading decision-maker magazine in sustainability. We share best practices, not just in circular economy, but also in other business areas, evolving impact and sustainable change. But that's just a little reminder over here. And I want to come back to this question again, because I also said that majorities are shifting. We are seeing that a lot of right-wing parties are not just getting stronger in Germany, but also in Europe and also in other countries that we all can think about if we have listened to the last keynotes we had today. But somehow I still feel that this is something that we cannot apply to circular economy. And I want to take you back to a moment that was very crucial for German politics in the last months. This was the moment when we inaugurated our new chancellor, Friedrich Merz, last year, 2025. It's almost 1 year ago. It's crazy how fast time is going. But during this time, there were a lot of party programs, a lot of parties that were dealing with attractive programs to attract people to vote them. And actually, a lot of them mentioned circular economy, not in a very detailed way. You can check it there. There is the QR code for the article. They show how much they actually dealt with this topic. But one thing I found really interesting, they share, that's why they don't care. Let me explain. I talked to a lot of politicians during this time, and they always answered, of course, circular economy makes a lot of sense. You can apply it to regional infrastructure. You can apply it to so many different topics of every party, and that's exactly the problem. It's very hard to convince voters to vote for you if you vote or try to position yourself with a topic that is relevant for all the parties and where all the parties can have the same benefits that they can offer you. Therefore, it was kind of a fallacy that it's such an attractive topic, because most parties didn't really want to deal with it because it was not differentiating it from the others. But it's also a great sign, because it still means that there's a majority of people willing to change something in this behalf. And if we also think about other things happening in the European Union at the moment, I guess every one of you still remember this kind of ugly buzz going about our CSDDD and other regulations that we have carefully developed in the last years. But this is not always applying to circular economy. And this is something I really want to highlight, because if we are talking about sustainability in a decrease at the moment, in attention, in political awareness and everything, it's not always applying to circular economy. And I think this is a very important and great sign. And yeah, actually, I had to buy a new phone 1 week ago. And I'm quite happy that I did this now, because I found out that it's very likely that the pricing of our DRAM and RAM in a lot of applications and technological applications will increase a lot in the next years due to huge investments of OpenAI and other companies following them for wafers of companies producing this DRAM. And this shows me something very crucial. Circular economy is not just about sustainability, it's also about resilience and about ensuring that we still can compete in a market where so many other competitors are actually changing how they're supplying and procuring their products, and also affecting directly our own production lines and our whole supply chains, even though it was not the intention maybe. But it's happening, and we have to deal with this, and having own recycling, having own refurbishing and other applications can be a huge benefit to be more resilient regarding these changes that will happen in the next years, because they're already happening right now. You can read the article. It's basically just a matter of time. And this is not the only topic. I guess every one of you knows this company, right? Most people are nodding. There are so many different applications depending on companies like this, producing our microchips, all the important products that we need to ensure technological innovation in the near future in Europe. And I guess we all know the discussions about China, about independency in this regards, about all the dependencies we still have in our supply chains, depending on some few companies in very few and very threatened locations all around the world. So this is also a very big reason why we should make sure that we can work with everything we have right now in our European Union to ensure that we can still have some kind of technological innovation in the near future, and how we can make long-lasting products that can be safe and working, even though there could be some problems in the supply in the upcoming future, because we never know what will happen in geopolitics right now. I mean, you all see the news. There's so much going on right now, and there's so much we have to think of, and that could happen in the near future. So therefore, this is quite an important topic. Oh, I have so much time. That's great. That's really great, because I brought some brilliant examples for you as well, and then we have more time to dig into them. And this is just another example, and I think it's one of the most recent ones that have shown us that so many of the applications we're talking right now are already affected today. I mean, I mentioned TSMC, I mentioned the DRAM, but this is also a quite realistic scenario we could observe in the last months, or weeks actually, that shows that global trade is not as reliable at the moment as it has been through the last decades. So I guess it's pretty obvious that circular economy is really not just a sustainability topic anymore. It's so much more, and it's so important to make sure that everyone understands how many different key actors are actually interested in ensuring that these supply chains are still working, and that we can still ensure all these different challenges can be tackled with solutions, especially right now, because we need fast solutions, and this is just highlighting it pretty well. I mean, this is the movement of ships in the last years in the Strait of Hormuz, and I mean, you can see it's quite full of ships, right? So there's a lot of trade depending on everything that is going on in Iran right now. Now I brought something for you to think a little. Have you any idea what this is related to my keynote? I guess it's a bit difficult, but I'm open for suggestions. Recycled paper. Anyone else? Recycled plastic, yes. Anyone else? Actually, there are two very interesting things about this picture. First of all, it's a picture of a reference site of a company that produces steel. And second of all, yes, you're right, it's also a paper company. And I especially chose this one because steel and paper has both huge emissions and energy demand in their production. And they are also both products that show how important it is to have a look on the pricing when we talk about circular economy. Because I'm not sure how many of you have bought recycled paper in the last years, but one thing I can still remember from my school time is that it was so much cheaper than all the freshly, newly produced paper I ever had, and it's also much more energy efficient than everything we talked about before. And if you think back about the Strait of Hormuz, it was not just about digital applications that we were buying there, it was also about energy demand, about oil, about gas, and about energy sovereignty. Therefore, it's quite important to deal with these topics. And I love the example of paper, because even though if it's very energy demanding, as like steel, there are already so great solutions possible, showing that you can save money by buying the more sustainable, more circular alternative. So it's not an alternative anymore, it's actually the better solution. And if we keep this thing in mind, we realize that there are so many other applications and so many other fields where it just makes sense to think circular, also from a business perspective. I brought another example. Even before Iran, we already had one energy crisis in Europe. I guess every one of you still remembers one of the more outbreaks in Ukraine of the war in 2022, and about the huge challenges we had afterwards facing our energy supply in Germany, but also other European countries. This led to more than 110 billion euros in investments just in 2023 to decentralize our energy supply by focusing on renewable energies. And I think this is also showing, again, we are talking about resilience. We are talking about making sure that our business model that we're actually applying right now is not harmed in the near future. And that it just makes sense if you also want to save a lot of money and a lot of dependencies as well. Therefore, I brought you this. What can you see here? A circle, yes. An empty circle. What is the difference between this circle and this circle here? Yeah, the color. Because, I mean, if we're talking about circularity, we're usually focusing on the products and all the other business cases around it. But I usually focus on people in my work. And I think this is a great example because it highlights a crucial difference. Usually, if you talk about corporations, about circles of people emerging to work together, we talk about circles like this. I mean, people are officially in an initiative, in an alliance, but it doesn't really feel interconnected. Most of the people know 2 or 3 people in the alliance. They cooperate with 2 or 3 of them. But if they would all cooperate with each other, and there would be lines drawn everywhere from every person to every person in this whole alliance, I guess it would look like this, because it will all be covered with all these little lines connecting the dots and the people behind it. And this is actually the most important thing I want you to focus on when you're listening to this keynote. Because I think that cooperation is actually one of the only things that we have left if we're focusing on making lasting change while looking at budgets that are decreasing from time to time. And I have some highlights that I want to share with you, some best practices, but I also have a picture for you that is even more applicable to the things I want to say right now. Because the people that know me know I work a lot with soap bubbles. And it's actually like a great example, because I see every bubble as an opportunity. And some of them are popped out very fast. But if we want to leverage these opportunities and want to use them for something, then we need people that show them to us. And I think this is one of the crucial things about cooperation. It's not just about working together as a business partner, supplying and demanding something. It's also about creating awareness for possible opportunities to open up spaces for others you're working together with, because that's how we can save a lot of money that we're not having right now in a lot of different sustainable areas, because many budgets are being cut at the moment, and I see it happening in a lot of different companies I know well. Yeah, oh, it's a lovely bubble, right? There's another one. Therefore, I brought you another example. Does any one of you know this beautiful site there? No one. This is actually in Denmark, and I think it's one of the most memorable things we have in Europe right now. And I didn't know it as well before I did the research for this keynote. And it's one of the first circular industrial parks that we have on the whole planet. And it's already more than 50 years old. And I just got to know it like 1 week ago during the preparation. It's very sad. And that's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because they are already showing how it's done and how attractive it can be to really cooperate in a manner that you're sharing everything you have. I mean, look at this. They are sharing water, they're sharing energy, they're sharing materials. And this is how circular economy could look like everywhere on the world. And this is how we could really make also a profit and also monetary benefit out of cooperating with each other. And I love these examples because they show that it's already possible right now, even though everyone is like, no, it's still too expensive, it's still too hard to manage it. They prove us wrong. And I mean, you can see it. It's a huge industrial park. We're not talking about some small companies. These are very famous big companies that are placed and located in Denmark that are actually doing this solution already. And you can have a look. There's Novo Nordisk, there's Ørsted. There's some of the big players that we also know from your investment portfolio, for example. So it's really a big thing. And I would like to come back to another thing, because I mentioned opening up opportunities, sharing knowledge, sharing the things we know. And they managed to develop the symbiosis readiness level together with the European Commission to really show how you could make some partnerships like this actually feasible and manageable. And therefore, there's also a link if you want to go deeper into this topic, because I think there's a lot to learn from them, and there's a lot that we should learn from them if we want to go into a circular future that is benefiting all of us. QR codes are scanned, great. Because now I would like to come back in my last 5 minutes to the picture from the beginning. I mentioned a huge concert, 180,000 people in 3 days. And it was actually not just a concert, it was a blueprint for a whole industry, for the festival industry. And I chose this example because I love how they feel sustainability like the biggest party you can ever celebrate during a festival. And they also shared their own guide on how they were working with cradle-to-cradle solutions to make it as sustainable as it's possible right now. And they're still on their way. It's still not 100% perfect, but it's showcasing a lot of solutions, sharing them, and they invited people like me to go on site, to have a look at all these solutions, to talk with all the experts that developed them, to spread the impact they created. That's also something they apply at this site. They actually offer quite expensive tours where you can get to know all the insights behind it and where other industries can learn from it. And I think many people are scared to share names of examples because they're like, oh, I don't want to advertise someone else, but we have to advertise each other because we are all working in the same transition. And I also brought you something about the impact of the festival I mentioned. And you can see they tried to show the progress they've already done. So they mentioned like the black line of what an ideal cradle-to-cradle certified event could look like, and they showed what they are already able to do with these highlighting events that are really trying to showcase all the solutions that are possible at the moment. And you can see a lot of them are also on a perfect way to reach more than 50% in circular economy. And I think this is a great sign because it gives me hope, and it's also a big party with a lot of fun and beautiful concert. So I think we should celebrate more parties for a sustainable future. And with this, I hope everyone understood what I'm really aiming today on. Cooperation is something that we shouldn't really understand as some business partnership, tradingship, or anything like that. We should really try to make it an attitude, and that's what I'm lobbying for at so many different stages, because I think that there's so much cooperation we can still leverage, and so much money and time and other things that we could not waste by just cooperating a little more smarter, by just inviting everyone that we know to the things where we think that there would be a great opportunity for them. And therefore, I want to invite you all, think about this keynote later on when you go to sleep. Think about people that you can share the next opportunity you have with, or the next partner, or the next other amazing chance where you see a lot of potential for really, truly meant cooperation with them. Thank you very much.